Hey you guys, this is a video on door dashing behavior. We're training this pup not to just get out of the door immediately when I open. So I'm touching the handle. When I wait for her to look at me, when she looks at me, I touch the handle, say yes, and feed as she doesn't move. See how I'm waiting for her to look at me. So I do the distraction. She looks, door handle, and yes and cookie. Door handle, open a little bit, yes, and feed. If she were to move, I would just close the door. But you should be doing small enough steps that she doesn't feel like moving. She doesn't need to be sitting, she could be standing, I don't care, as long as she doesn't go forward. That's my criteria. I'm incorporating a step back, because when we open doors, usually we do a little step like that. So I want to incorporate that in the training, because that so that doesn't become a cue for door dashing. Step, yes, and feed. See how I'm not holding cookies in my hand? I do a lot of resets like that. I say okay and toss a cookie away. Yes, and pay. There you go. So little by little, I open the door. So I'm trying to do this training in a way that the dog doesn't think about door dashing, because there is enough reinforcement for staying back. And the more the dog has successes, the better. You don't want to keep closing the door on the dog's nose. You know, like a dog tries to go out and you close strongly. That's not that might create some fear of doors. I saw some dogs now being afraid of doors and passing through doors because they think doors bite. So just make sure you're doing small steps enough that the dog has no other thinking other than staying far back like that. If the dog is making too many errors, that means you're increasing your criteria too fast. So just go a little slower. This is the first time this pup does this behavior. The very first time she's training. And she's a door dasher. That's why Dad wanted me to train this behavior, because she keeps door dashing. So that's a... keep in mind, this is a drill. You also need to incorporate cold trials, meaning walking through the corridor with the leash on and then opening. And you might find that with the arousal of going, of the new thought of coming out, might make her more excited to go outside. So you might need to, in those cold trials, go back to opening just a little bit. Just keep that in mind. Okay. Now I open the door and I'm paying her for not actually going outside at all. And release cue. And she auto sits. With eye contact, I say yes and feed. All right. I'd like you to notice how now I'm going to do a more real scenario where I'm walking, then I open.
Yes. Good.
I pay for her not going.
Okay.
I say release cue. And I expect her to, after the release cue, go out, but look at me. I want to have some eye contact before we go out. I don't want a dog that just rushes through the door. Like after I give the release cue, she runs. I don't like that. I don't think it's a safe one. So I like her to keep eye contact with me after I release her. So I will help her if needed. So after I do the release cue, the okay, then I help her to sit and make eye contact to me. This dog has a lot of auto sits. This is a puppy culture puppy. So she was trained since very, very early ages to offer auto sits. And so that's what I'm doing right now.
So I approach the door. I wait for an auto sit. And her eye contact to me is the cue for me to put my hand in the handle to open the door. I open the door. She doesn't bolt. She right now receives a yes. And later I can fade that out. And the reinforcer will be access to outside. But right now I say yes and feed. And then as soon as I say the release cue, okay, then I move. And then I expect her to auto sit again, looking at me instead of looking at the environment. If she doesn't, just lure her, make it work. And if she's truly not able to do it, just reset. Do not go out at that time. You want to go out when she's able to refocus back on you. Otherwise, she doesn't really have a brain. She doesn't have going out, she won't have outside either. So it's good to have that kind of connection before going out. So let's show that. Alright. So her auto sit. Eye contact means my hand on the handle, open the door, she doesn't vote. Yes. Get a cookie for now. Okay. And I stop and I wait for her until she auto sits near me. Yes. She doesn't, then I'll lower a sit.
One thing that I forgot to mention that is very, very important is to do this training on leash if you're doing any exit door. Actually, do it for any door because it's very likely that you're going to be, in that scenario, you have a leash on your dog, so it's good that they learn to do this behavior on leash. You might do a few off leash as well if you like. Here I'm showing the reduction of reinforcers. So I'm fading out the cookie reinforcers, and the only reinforcer is the environment itself. Except that I'm still paying her auto sit because she's still working on it. So I definitely pay that final auto sit. But eventually I don't have to give any cookie for her because the environment is the reward. Environmental reward.
Good job.
Good dog.
Okay. Ready?